annoyance through glossy red lips. She listened for a few seconds, then announced, "It's long distance for you, Tom." She spoke loud enough for everyone in the room to hear her. The regular office crew consisted of 6 women and 2 men. Only 4 of the women and Thomas Marshall Regan, news reporter and sports editor, were present at the moment. The girls, as Regan referred to them away from the office, pretended not to be listening, but he knew they were all ears whenever he received a call. Being the products of small towns, they were always eager to overhear all conversations, particularly if the person calling Regan was a woman. One look at Molly told them this was one of those occasions. Since Regan was unmarried, his private life was open to much speculation by his co-workers. They turned up their hearing volumes a couple of notches, all ears, straining to catch every word possible. "I'll take it in Barney's office," said Regan, as he swiveled in his chair. Although he had the title of sports editor, he didn't have his own office, or even a cubicle. He had a beat-up old metal desk in one corner, a private domain that he defended as his bastion of individuality. Tom Regan. Sandy brown hair, worn moderately long, bright blue eyes, average height and size, with Mensa intelligence and enough athleticism to get him a tryout with the expansion Kansas City Royals in 1969. He didn't lift weights, but he had decently toned muscles, the result of playing physically demanding sports in his free time. With the grace of a dancer, he rose from his chair and walked across the room to the only private office in the building. Barney Nutter was the boss, editor and publisher, but not the owner. His personal space was supposed to be off-limits when he was absent, but Regan liked to use it whenever possible because it offered him a semblance of privacy when talking on the phone, and because it was one of the many little ways of getting at Nutter, a miserly misfit of a man, rumored to be a lineal descendant of the real Ebenezer Scrooge. Regan closed the door behind him and plopped down in Nutter's leather chair. He picked up the receiver with a flourish and pushed the button below the blinking red dot. "Tom Regan here. Got some news for me?" "Hello, Tommy." Regan recognized the voice as his younger sister, Colleen's. She lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with her husband Dave and her 2 children, Patty and Kit, named, respectively, for popular singer Patty Page and Old West trailblazer and mountain man Kit Carson, because the former was Colleen's mother's favorite recording artist, and the latter was Dave's boyhood hero. Regan and Colleen were closer than most brothers and sisters. They saw each other infrequently because of geography, but they overcame the distance with the telephone. Mostly she called him, especially when something was troubling her. From her tone, this was one of those times. "Say, little sister, what's happening in Okieville these days?" "Not much more than what's happening up there inside the Arctic Circle," she drawled. "Seen Sergeant Preston and King lately?" "Dog sled traffic is a little slow these days," he replied. When she stopped giggling on the other end, he asked, "Is everyone okay down there?" "If you're asking if Mom is all right, then the answer is yes. But if you're asking about me, then the answer is no. I called in sick today. I told my boss I've got strep throat." "You don't sound sick." "I'm not. I just needed some time to myself." She heaved a very audible sigh before continuing. "Dave and I have a problem." "Sorry, lassie, I don't give marital advice. That's the quickest way to wear out your welcome with your friends and your relatives." "It's not that kind of problem," she protested. "Our lives may be in danger." "Isn't that a little melodramatic? Who is it this time? The mafia, a Russian spy? Or is it the lunatic down the street again? Lassie, you've got to do something about this paranoia." "Tommy, I'm serious," she interrupted. "And stop calling me Lassie. You know I hate that name." When they were children, Regan thought himself clever when he abbreviated Colleen to Collie. Then he realized that the most famous collie in the world was Lassie. He teased his sister with the name to get a rise out of her, until one day, when he used it in front of her friends, and she broke down crying from embarrassment. It struck him that he had hurt her badly, so he apologized and never called her Lassie in front of anybody else ever again. Only when they were alone, and when he was feeling adolescent, did he address her as Lassie.